Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Red Devils Experience. Hope you're all doing well. Good to have you back. A lot of breaking news that came out today. We're going to cover it all. We're going to run through this real quick. Hit the like button. Smash the like button for us. It really helps. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. Share, subscribe. Subscribe if you haven't already. Stay up to date. We're growing fast. We're coming fast. And we're going to keep doing this. So thank you to everybody that's already here and has been part of this. And we look forward to you joining this community. Let's get straight into it. So there was a lot of updates that came out early on in the day about Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Sir David Brailsford, Jean-Claude Blanc. They spoke to fans. They spoke to Must. They spoke to supporter groups of Manchester United. It was something that hasn't been done in quite a while, like I've mentioned previously. I asked for something that Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos have to do when they come in here is to communicate with the fans more. Let us know what's going on. Let our fans have a say, and just communicate with us. Something the Glazers haven't done with us. The Glazers don't see us as equals. They don't respect us, and I think it's important that Ineos come and they set that standard and they change that culture. I think it would change the level of toxicness going at the club. I think it would change the level of mistrust that's at the club between the fans and the ongoings behind the scenes at the club. This is caused by the Glazers. This is caused by the fact that they don't like to say anything to the media. They don't ever talk to the media. They don't ever talk to the fans. The only time we get information is when they do a shareholder meeting and they're talking to their people about money. And they provide us no direction of where the club is going. And if it ever is anything, it's usually some PR bullshit that's leaked through media sources, which causes even more confusion because people don't know whether to believe it or not. People don't know if it's true or not. If Sir Jim Ratcliffe comes out or Sir David Brailsford and they come out and they make a direct statement to the media, it's come out of their mouth. We know who it's come from. We know that it's real, and people can then decide, what they think from there, and people can formulate more valid opinions on what's going on at the club. So I think it's important, and this was reported by a couple things from Samuel Luckhurst. It was said Sir David Brailsford is sounding out the opinions of former staff at Manchester United to gauge the performance challenge at the club. So I would assume that's people like Sir Alex Ferguson, a former CEO, David Gill, and probably a few other people that were around at that time during the Ferguson era and the Gill era, which is always good because that was our most successful period in the most recent club's history, of course. And you want to get insight from them of what worked and how you can use what they did in the past and kind of bring that over and mold it into something that fits with the current new generation. Because one of the problems or one of the mistakes that Manchester United made was as soon as Sir Alex Ferguson left, they ripped apart everything. They didn't leave anything intact from him, and they literally just ripped apart everything and tried to start something new, which was a complete mistake because what Ferguson left us wasn't broken. It might have needed to be modified and changed slightly over the coming years to adjust with the way things were changing in football. But by no means was it broken. And when we ripped that up, I think we lost. That's where we lost our identity, and it was a huge mistake from the club. Now, I might argue that they kind of intentionally did it. I think they were waiting for Ferguson to leave. They couldn't wait because it allowed them to have free reins and do whatever they wanted. And I think they were waiting a very long time for him to leave. And as soon as he left, they said, screw the football. It's time to commercialize this shit as much as we can. Let's capitalize. Let's make as much money as possible. And I think that's what we've seen over the past 10 years. And it's led to the demise of our club. It's led to us being shit. It's led to us not being competitive on the pitch, and we've definitely suffered in that aspect. And as they raked in their money and they're good, you know what I mean. Us fans and supporters all over the world, we've suffered. We've suffered, and it's a big task by Sir Jim, and I'm willing to give them the benefits of the doubt. Now, we also had some stuff, some BS come out about SEC filings and what really went on with the whole bidding process between Sir Jim and Qatar, and we'll get into that in a little bit, and we'll kind of go over it. It's not like too important because nothing's going to change from that, and it doesn't really matter. But we will cover it because it caused quite an uproar on social media, and the fan base is arguing with each other once again over something stupid that really has nothing to do with anything about the future of this club. And we should probably be focusing on that stuff instead of some BS that happened a couple months ago that nothing's ever going to change. Um, so to continue with Samuel Luckhurst, he also said there are suggestions that the changes Ineos will make at Manchester United could be brutal. Um, the changes at Manchester United have to be brutal. They have to be brutal in terms of players need to be kicked out of this club. Players need to not have their contracts re-signed. Players need to be removed. They need to be removed, but also people at the senior positions, they need to be removed. Probably coaches in the background that we don't really hear their names too much, that probably shouldn't be there, probably have overstayed. Yeah, I think a lot of people at the club, in all aspects, I think they need to go. They need to go. They need to be removed, and it should be brutal. And it has to be brutal because we've been failing for 10 years. So I'm sure there's good people there, and I hope they can try and do a good job of sorting out people that are competent at their jobs, people that are good, and people that deserve to be there. And the other ones, they got to get them out because they have contributed to the failure of this club for the past 10 years. They should not be here. They should not continue to be here. And if we're going to be successful, they need to be removed and they need to be replaced with people that are competent at their job and skillful and knowledgeable. So I I don't think, when it says that the changes could be brutal, I think they have to be brutal. I think they must be brutal. I know a lot of our fans have asked to be ruthless, and absolutely, they should be ruthless. I think it sends a strong message. I think it would be very positive for them to be absolutely ruthless. They're new. You come in, you make a strong statement, you make a strong showing that this is not BS. That we are not here to mess around. We are serious. That we want to take this club back to the heights that it's supposed to be. Back to being serious club. Back to be challenging and being champions. And I think they could do that by being brutal, or I would say ruthless. So 100%, I would definitely be in there for that. Now, um, there was also something that came out from Samuel Luckhurst talking about Manchester United are planning to keep Ahmad Diallo beyond the closure of the January transfer window. There was some talk that he might be loaned out to Middlesbrough, which I was kind of surprised about because after the season he had at Sunderland last year, I think it was pretty much like you know confirmed by all people that he should be getting a chance in the first team this season. And unfortunately, he got injured in preseason and wasn't able to feature up until recently. And I think he got a minor setback because he did feature for a couple minutes and then wasn't on the bench. So I think he suffered a minor setback, but I don't think it's long term, and he should be back around. And just with the way Anthony is playing, and the lack of goals, and the fact that Sancho is gone on loan to Borussia Dortmund, and it appears that we're sending Palestri out on loan. I find it kind of surprising that there's talk that Diallo might be going to Middlesbrough. If he does go to Middlesbrough, I would be upset. But then again, Carrick is there, and I feel like he would look after him, and I think Carrick's doing a fantastic job at Middlesbrough. So I don't think it would be the worst thing, but at the same time, I think he should get a chance. From what I've seen from him, from just the amount of playing time and stuff that he's got, even when he was on loan, uh, he looks like he's got something to add to this squad. I think he can come in and add to this squad. Something that I feel like Facundo Palestri hasn't really shown, and yes, you can argue he hasn't gotten a lot of chances, but At the same time, neither has Diallo, but I think Diallo, from the little chances he's shown and his loan, I think he is ahead of Palestri in terms of quality, and I think he would be ahead of Palestri in terms of output. So I think actually, if you're going to loan one of the two out, I would loan Palestri out, and see what he does on loan. If he's good enough, he's going to perform. He should develop more, and he should be getting game time wherever he gets loaned out to. And I think Diallo, he went out, he did his business, he did the loan. He did fantastic on the loan, and I think he should be getting opportunities. So I hope he is not loaned out. Obviously Samuel Luckhurst coming out with the story the day after saying that they're planning to keep him, so that is a positive in my eyes. Um, we also had an update from Mike Keegan, and he's saying that documents from Manchester United state that Sir Jim Ratcliffe's offer for Manchester United shares represents a 27.69% ownership interest and 28.71% voting interest. I mean, okay. Um, what difference does that make? I don't fucking know. I don't think anybody really cares about that, but uh, you know. So then we got big update. These are the bigger updates. That this is where Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Jean Claude Blanc and Sir David Brailsford were talking to Manchester United fans like Must and other supporters group. I think we have a fan forum with some other fans on it, and this is where these come into play. So it was this is by the or in the Athletic, and the first update was Ineos want to fix the sporting side of things first. Sir David Brailsford was very focused at the meeting. He's trying to create an elite culture. Jean Claude Blanc said less. He listened. He was friendly and social. A person present at the meeting with Ineos said Sir Jim Ratcliffe is quite blunt. He was limited in what he could say, but all he said was, "We are here and we are going to stay here." Another person present at the meeting with Ineos alluded to the fact that they spent the last year researching Manchester United history with what worked and what didn't work. Brailsford was very impressive in his analysis. He spoke at length about the desire to learn from history and draw on the unique elements of Manchester United's success from past eras as we move forward. Ineos want to not necessarily sign Galacticos and big names, but exciting and dynamic players. They want to combine this with strong leadership that has vision and purpose from the managers and captains. Everything they said was very exciting. Another person who met Ineos, it was so different. This is the quote. It was so different from anything we've heard from the Glazers. Football first, decision making based on what will bring sporting success, not what which will generate income. Another person who met Ineos also said they, talking about Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, success and prestige. They want success and prestige, not money. Setting the standard where you have to compete for the title and the final stages of the Champions League every year. It's not about settling for fourth place. It was very, very refreshing. Um, and then the chairman of Must came out and said, in quotes, "I am no fan of the Glazers. They never gave us the opportunity to talk. These people are. These people are saying the right things. They're saying that things. They're saying that there's nothing off of the table. They said let's effing go. Then I'm not going to wait until I'm 72 for the next chance." And those are the end of those quotes. So I want to talk about that before we get into a little something here. So I mean, the Glazers, like I've mentioned, it was well known. They hate us. They treat us like crap. They don't respect us. And this is what I asked for Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Now we have to take things. I don't want to say with a grain of salt, but a little bit of caution. Let's not go overboard. Let's not start throwing parades and parties and saying we're back, we're back. At the end of the day, these are words. Now, they are positive words. They are things we want to hear, and they are things that line up with what most Manchester United fans, I believe, believe, and want, right? And these are positive things. We know that the positivity is going to come, obviously. What we have to do is we have to see if their words uh, match the actions. And then if those actions lead to the results of the words that they are saying, you know, obviously, the sporting sides of things have to be fixed first. Um, I think that's really only the only thing to fix. Because I think commercially we're good. I don't think there's anything to fix commercially. I All our problems stem from the football side. So it makes sense that you got to fix the sporting side of things 100% because that's what's been broken for 10 years. It hasn't been the commercial stuff. Commercialism for Manchester United is easy, especially if we're successful. If we win trophies and we're taking serious again, um, a 5-year-old could run the commercial aspect because are lining up to do deals left, right, and center, and they're throwing money, and they want to get their name attached with Manchester United. Um, like they used to do previously, where they literally just would come lining up at the door, begging to put some type of a sponsorship or something with Manchester United's name attached to their companies. So, but an important part is that they mentioned that Sir David Brailsford is very focused and he's trying to create an elite culture, and I think this is something very important and something that we have to focus on and we have to look out for. Um, we all know that the culture of Manchester United has been shit for the past 10 years. It is a problem that has led to the disasters on the pitch. It has led to the problems of player power. And it is a major factor into why we have been so unsuccessful. And this is something that needs to be addressed. This needs to be fixed. And this is something we need to pay very close attention to in terms of when they start to make their official moves. Once they're officially in and they are allowed to actually start dictating stuff. This is something we need to be keeping a very close eye on because that is a foundation for if we're going to be successful or not. And this is very basic stuff. I don't know how they plan to do this. Obviously, they're working on it, but that is something that needs to be done. If they're going to be successful, they're going to have to figure out how to create an elite culture because we don't have one, and we see it every week on the pitch. You could tell that inside of the club, it's been broken, it's been fractured, it's toxic, it's not elite, it's fucking weak, and it reflects on the pitch. It reflects on the pitch. It reflects in the squad. It reflects on the players. These players are the culture with the players is not strong. It is weak. Um, they you come out, you perform for 20 minutes. You can't give us a full 90 minutes. You have one good game. You show up the next game, your favorites to win, and you get embarrassed. You go to play a big team that has an elite mentality that's been doing great for seasons now. You get slaughtered and embarrassed. Even the Tottenham match. Um, we're Manchester United. Tottenham should not be showing up to Old Trafford and outplaying us. They should not be having 70% possession at Old Trafford. I don't give a crap what kind of football we're playing. I really don't care. It's unacceptable for a team to come to Old Trafford and play against us like we are the ones that are playing home. It's a fucking disgrace, and that cannot be happening. And things like this need to be fixed. They need to be changed. And you know what? We have to give these guys a chance. Listen, it could all go wrong. This could be a complete failure. But it's the only chance we have. It's the only opportunity, and we have to give these guys a chance and see what they're gonna do. And I hope they do get it right. I really, really do. There's nothing else that we can do. Listen, they're gonna talk. They're gonna say words. Um, Actions speak louder than words. So once they start making their actions, we will see, and then we can critique and we can give our opinions on how they're operating and how they're going about this plan. But this is a starter point, is a little appetizer, right? This is a good start. This is a good appetizer for what's coming. Now, hopefully the main course is prepared well. It's cooked well and it tastes good, and we'll be satisfied with that. But we haven't gotten there yet. We just we just started nibbling at the appetizer right now, so we gotta wait and see. But I think it's I'm just reading over because I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. So the fact that they alluded to the fact that they spent the last year researching Manchester United, our history, what worked and what didn't. Um, I think that's kind of pretty standard. It sounds nice, right? But it's kind of standard. It's kind of standard. I mean, I don't know. If you don't do that, what kind of job are you doing? I would be concerned if they didn't come out and say that actually. Um, I feel like that's just something that is part of the process. I feel like that's just something that's a given. If you're coming to do a proper job, that's something that you have to do. You don't just ignore everything, come in and pretend like you know what the hell is going on, because at the end of the day, let's remember, these guys aren't actually while they were involved in sport, they're not like football experts in a sense. They're sport experts, but they're not football experts. They haven't had a football background. I mean, Jicon Blanc is a football expert, right? But in terms of like Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Sir David Brailsford, they're not. It's not like they've been in football for 20 years. So they kind of need to do this anyway. Uh, but I feel like that's pretty standard, and it's just it's a little, some sprinkles on top of the icing. That's kind of what it's a little filler. Sounds good, sounds nice. It's positive. You know what I mean? Um, Now Sir David Brailsford, he is a very intelligent guy. Um, you can get that from just listening to him speak. The guy's on tons of YouTube interviews. You can go watch videos. You can tell the man is intelligent. You can tell he likes to be very detailed, very organized. Um, and I think that's important. I think that's something we haven't really had. I think the Glazers, the way they were operating, they didn't really care. They just put somebody in charge, and they didn't really look into the details. So the person in charge was just they could make huge mistakes. They could fuck around, and the Glazers weren't really paying attention to any of that because they would just look at their sheets for the numbers, and if everything was okay on that aspect, then they had no problems. And then also they could throw anybody under the bus they wanted, even though it might be like their fault. So this guy, he's gonna hold people accountable, and he's not a guy that's gonna go in there without a plan. He's not going to just fucking wing things, which is important because we haven't had a real plan and a real structure, and we haven't been real organized in 10 years, which has also led to our problems. So this is important for this guy, and I from what I've heard from him so far, and I'm looking forward to when they actually are confirmed, to hear more from him, because I really like what this guy talks about. Now I want to see what he puts into action, but from how he speaks and what he believes, and the way he sees things, I really like this guy. I think he has something to offer to this club. I think he can make a very big impact, and if he's correct in the way he's going to go about it, I think we're going to see some very very big changes, and it's going to be really down to him. He's going to play a very very large role in that, and as of right now, from what I've gathered from him, I feel very positive with him there, and I hope that he's going to do a really really good job, and I think he is as of right now, and we'll see as time moves on. But I'm feeling pretty confident with this guy here, doing this review, and just reviewing everything and looking over everything, and coming up with a plan. So I want to see that. Now the big thing that I wanted to mention was that where they say that they're not necessarily looking to sign Galacticos and big names. They want to sign exciting and dynamic players, which is very very important. They want to combine that with strong leadership that has vision and purpose. from managers and captains, which is basically what we've all been asking for. But something that I've mentioned previously on this channel is that I had two. There was always two thoughts of thinking. Either the people that were in charge, like Ed Woodward and Richard Arnold, etc., right? They were so incompetent at their job that they were signing these big players or these players for large sums of money, and they supposedly had big names and they were giving them big contracts, um, because they didn't know what the hell they were doing and they didn't know, like, what a player is actually valued at. But I also had another theory that was Ed Woodward's plan. He was doing it on purpose, not necessarily because he didn't know that these players weren't worth that money, but the way Glazers were looking and Woodward were looking at players were like, they are assets. They're commercial assets. Therefore, if there is a player that you could sign for 55, 60 million, um, well, without telling anybody, if you sign the player for 80 and also up his wage, all that shit goes on the books. You just got a player that's supposed to be worth 50 and he's now actually worth 80 because that's what you're writing off in the book. He's an $80 million asset, right? And that goes on the club, and that has something to do with their dividends and the way they balance their books and all that shit, which is another reason why they refused to get rid of players, because they were writing them off as assets on the books. Um, and that's kind of why I think, after Fergie, they went down this route of, let's sign, it was like fake Galacticos. Like, we're going to sign players that have a big brand exposure for big money on big wages. It causes a big splash in the media. It's talked about all over the place. And it didn't really matter if they were successful, because it was like, like they would take that story and bring it to brands and be like, look at the interaction, look at the clicks, look at the buzz that we get from doing this. If you put your name with us, we could get you all these eyes. All this is associated with your brand. And I think that's what they were doing, and they were selling the club like this. And it hurt us in the long run. It very, very much damaged us. So I think it's very important that they come in here and they stop that shit. No more players that, you know, for example, like Jude Bellingham. You can argue sign him for 100 million, 120 million. Somebody like Kane, proven, you would sign him for 100 million. Players like that is understandable. Somebody like Anthony, who looked like he was good, right? But let's be fair, he was playing in the Dutch league. To sign him for 80 million is crazy. Now there's different levels. If he's banging in goals in Champions Leagues and he has some crazy record, kind of like Haaland, because Haaland was at Borussia Dortmund, right? But he was doing good in the Champions League. He was scoring all types of goals, and that those circumstances are a little different. But Manchester City didn't pay fucking 100 million for Haaland either. So you can't be doing that. He didn't even pay 80 million for him, which is why it's crazy. So that has to stop, and it doesn't mean that we have to sign shit no name players that nobody knows about. There are a lot of exciting, like they said, exciting and dynamic players. There are a lot of these players that are available that aren't like, so popularized, but they have talent, they are good, and they have a high ceiling and can be developed, and they have a work rate, and they have an ethic, and they have an attitude. These are all things that are important. And something that I would add to that is they need to, before they get a player, they need to do something like Sir Alex Ferguson did. And, they've been with Sir Alex Ferguson. Sir Jim was with Sir Alex Ferguson. I think Sir David Brailsford was with Sir Alex Ferguson. Something that I would like to take from them is have somebody speak to these players before you go and purchase them. Because I feel like we haven't been doing that. Ferguson used to get real personal with the players. Ask them if they got a girlfriend, if they got a wife. What are their interests? What are their hobbies? What do they like to do when they have time off? What do they do? Like he liked to know in their aspect to know that I have a player that has talent, but he also has a good head on his shoulders. And I feel like that's really it's even more it's more important to do that in today's game because all the social media crap with the brands and the fucking agents and the fake people that surround themselves around these people because they want to leech off of them. And they think about it, like, if you're friends with one of these footballers, you get access to a lot of shit. They invite you here, they bring you here, you go to these parties, you're in a little posse. You probably talk to women that you wouldn't talk to if you weren't associated with these people. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of positives to pretending to be fake around these people. And unfortunately, when you're in that position, sometimes it's kind of hard to know who's really your friend and who's not. And a lot of people struggle with that. And the people that do really struggle with that, it ends up destroying them in the end. Which I feel bad for the players, but also they have to try and be aware of that and be smart. And I think this is something Sir Jim and Sir David Brailsford, they need to look into. They need to make sure that the profile of the player. And I think from what Sir David Brailsford talks about, I think they're gonna do that. I think they will very deeply analyze the personality, the mentality, of these players that they are going to look to sign. And I think that's going to be very important. Um, so to move on from that, just to move on to something else, Manchester United paid $31.5 million to the Rain Group. The bank mandated that the Glazers, for the sale process, all costs, including their expenses, will be paid by United and not by the Glazer family. I mean, just another fucking disgrace by the Glazers. This is why we need to continue to be Glazers out, even though we have Sir Jim and he's in charge of football operations. These guys are still here. They're still fucking leeching. They're still doing disgusting acts. I mean, you're talking about $31.5 million. We struggled to. We signed Amrabat on loan at the end of the transfer window. We got Johnny Evans on a free when Eric Ten Hag needed another center back, a striker that we didn't get because we only have Hoyland, and then Martial is apparently not fit. We're gonna get onto that in a second, but I mean, and they're taking 31.5 million out of the club's money to pay for their fucking transfer process after they hired the Rain Group and all those fucking lawyers. They're not gonna foot any part of the bill, not even a piece of it. Not even a piece of it. It's not even like 10%, 15%, nothing. They put it all in the club and took money out of the club when the club is struggling financially and we can't sign players and we have FFP up our ass, right? And we're struggling so much that we're selling younger players with some sort of potential to try and to garner funds. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, you people want to criticize the manager for spending 400 million, but the club is so poorly run. And then you have these guys spending 31.5 million out of the club. We could have bought so many more players. We could have bought another 4 or 5 players with that 31.5 million, selling Scott McTominay, selling Maguire, not fucking overspending the money on well, that was the year before. But we overspent on Hoyland. How it was reported that Atalanta told Hoyland he can leave for 50 million. United said they were willing to pay no more than 60, and they ended up paying 80 to 85 million. Is fucking beyond me. You take that money from Hoyland and you take the money that they just spent on their lawyers and their bank or whatever the fuck they are, right? That's a striker, at least, at the very least. That's about 60 something million. That's a well established already striker. We could have put him with Hoyland, and Hoyland wouldn't be, having all this absurd amount of pressure and when he wasn't supposed to be the main striker. So this is just another example of how the club is run poorly. So yeah, Eric Ten Hag makes mistakes, makes things that infuriate fans. But when it comes to expenses at the club, when it comes to the amount of money spent on players and what's going on, that has all been Glazer's fault and just stuff that has not been properly done and not handled by them. and they've taken $1 billion out of the club, only owners to ever take a fucking billion out of a football team. When you compare it to Manchester City, it looks even more like a disgrace because their owner has probably put in about a fucking billion, um, which shows you the difference of where we're at and where they're at. Just simple math. A fucking 3-year-old could figure that out as to why they're good and we're not. Now, Hannibal Meshbury was sent on loan, but the loan has a buy option, which is most likely going to be taken. We also have a buyback clause in it, and I think we have a sell-on clause as well. And also Alvaro Fernandez was his loan was switched to Benfica, which also includes a buyback clause, a sell-on fee, a guaranteed fee if he pays a certain amount. Um, if he doesn't play a certain amount, Benfica can still choose to buy him for the fee. And I just want to touch on that real quick because I think that's important to talk about. Is that we were never doing those deals before. If it wasn't, I think that's Ineos already at work. Because I've never seen Manchester United sell players of that, being that young, and including buyback clauses, including sell-on fees, which is very important because we don't really want these players to go. But it's not the worst if you're sending them there and we have some sort of way to get them back if they do become good enough. Um, and then you also have a backup to it. It's like if they do become good enough and they choose not to want to come back to Manchester United for whatever reason, and they choose to go to another club, right? And they go for a high fee, we're still going to make money off of it because we have a sell-on percentage. So, I mean, those are basic things in football. They're smart things, but they're basic. Every good operating club does these things, but we haven't been doing that. So it's good to see that we're at least doing this. Even though you might not want some of these younger guys to go, it is important that we are now actually putting stuff in deals. And might I add, we've always struggled with selling. And it looks like they're using January to get some sales through the doors, to kind of straighten out the money aspect, the FFP aspect or the Premier League FFP aspect. And we might be able to get a signing, maybe a loan in to help us out before January closes. So I think those are some slight encouraging things. They're small, but they're small encouragements. And let's see what happens in the summer when they have full control and full reign. I want to see if they're going to be able to move on, like people like Scott McTominay, Harry Maguire. It's a struggle to move on Martial, but he's going to leave for free. I think one of their big things is what they do with Jadon Sancho. And if they decide to do sell Jadon Sancho, what kind of deal they're going to be able to do. What's going to be in the deal, and how fast can they do it. Those are things that I'm going to be looking out for in the summer. Now, just to hit this last thing before, because that's really about it. So there was this thing between Sir Jim and Qatar came out. It's the SEC filing that pretty much has to do with like the stock, because we're on the stock market. You have to file with the SEC when you do some sort of a purchase of a company or something like that, right? So this whole thing came out pretty much saying that in the SEC filing, Qatar and Al Thani, they never disclosed their proof of like the funds. They said they made the offer, but they weren't disclosing that they actually had the money and what was like the plan payment going to be like. And basically they're saying that like Altani's bid didn't even come close to the valuation, and it was pretty much, whatever was being reported was basically a lot of fluff and a lot of BS, and that he wasn't putting in like about 6 billion. The offer never hit that. Listen, obviously the SEC filing is not It's not fake. It can't be faked. It's it's a lawful like agreement. It's a lawful piece of paper. You can't lie on it, right? My thing is, um, I don't believe that it's one of two things, and one of them sounds like a conspiracy. But listen, this is just how I see it. It's one of two things. Either the Qatar bid was a front set up by the Glazers, because they were never going to sell. They had about 18 suitors. 17 of them wanted a partial um investment into Manchester United, right? And they had 18 of those people. Now, the club was valued at about 3.2 billion on Forbes or something like that, right? So if you have a guy from Qatar that has all this money and he's supposedly saying, you know what, I'll give you 5-6 billion for the club. When you go to negotiate with the other parties that want to do partial investment, the Glazers or the Rain Group or whoever are going to negotiate and say, listen, the fee you're offering for the percentage that you want to take isn't high enough, because while the club on paper is valued at about 3 point something billion, we actually have a guy that's willing to pay about 5 to 6 billion. And if we have a guy that's willing to pay 5 to 6 billion, the current owners actually value it at 7, 8, 9, 10 billion. So if you want to put investment and you want to get a something percentage out of this club, you need to give us a higher fee for a certain percentage, which is what I think they did. I think they kind of used it. Qatar came out and they refuted these claims and said that they did have the money. And stuff that's being reported isn't true. Now, there's probably the truth somewhere in the middle, but that's kind of the way I see it. I kind of see like, and there was a big discussion on like, oh, this is PR. Um, Listen, I think it's PR that they're saying that is the sole reason why they didn't do a full sale, is because Qatar didn't or refused to disclose uh or file the proper paperwork for the payment plans that they were going to do and stuff like that. I think there was a discrepancy in there. I think Qatar and Al Thani, they wanted 100% exclusivity from the beginning, and then they would have discussed that after. I think they were hesitant to, for whatever reason, release that information before it was confirmed that they were or would be the sole person that they were going to be doing business with. And I think that might be a reason as to why they didn't do it. And the major issue is that, listen, Sir Jim wanted he wanted all of the Glazers shares. He wanted, what is it, 68%, 69%? What did Sir Jim end up with? 25%. So, it's bullshit that the Glazers say that they would have accepted the full sale if they gave them the money. Sir Jim offered you the money for fucking the full sale, and you didn't do it because you didn't want to do a full sale. You never wanted to do a full sale. You took 18 suitors that wanted to give you partial investment. And Sir Jim ended up with 25%, and he paid over the odds because he had 17 other guys there. So that's what I think the PR is. I think the PR is that they're coming out and saying, well, if it wasn't for him not doing the proper things, yeah, we would have probably accepted the full sale bid. I mean, it's bullshit. Everybody knows Avram Glazer and Joel Glazer did not want to sell. They did not want to give up 100% of the club. They wanted to stick around. They want to continue making money off of Manchester United. And I think it's even more proof by the fact that, so Jim only ended up with 25%, and yes, due to the legality reasons, you can't, provide a a pathway to owner to from his ownership that's gonna have to be hashed out later. But yeah, I think that's just the proof that we needed. So I think that's the PR. I don't think the SEC filing and what's in the SEC filing is necessarily it's not PR. It's there. It's reported, right? It's factual. It can't be lies. But I think the Glazers saying, that is the main reason why we didn't go with Qatar. I think that's bullshit, because I think they could have figured that out. I think that could have been dealt with if they really wanted to make that deal. I think they that could have been sorted out after a different time, or later on into negotiations. But I just don't think they ever wanted to do it. So, to me that seems pretty obvious, and I think that's what the PR is, and that's a bunch of bullshit. And I think people online, people don't write things correctly, people don't read things correctly, or people misinterpret what people are saying, which is why the internet is kind of fucked up, and it's better to hear people speak out of their mouth in the tone that they're saying. Which I think led to the clusterfuck that was on Twitter, because it was crazy. It was crazy. People's going crazy, attacking people for supporting Qatar, and people calling out saying this is PR, and they're getting attacked for being being called all types of names because apparently they're morons for thinking that it's PR. It's like, dude, you're really gonna attack United fans and take fucking Glazers' words? Because those are Glazers' words, essentially. The news that comes out, yeah, it came out of the SEC filing, but that's Glazers' version, because obviously Qatar said something very different. So you're gonna attack United fans to take Glazers' words. I don't trust anything that the fucking Glazers say. And no United fans should. We have very good reasons not to. So, it is what it is. But that's it, because we kind of overshot it. But that covered pretty much everything that came out today. So it was a good update. A lot of stuff came out. Oh yeah, quickly. Anthony Martial has been told to train on his own to improve his fitness before Eric Ten Hag will consider picking him for Manchester United. Martial is not injured, but not deemed fit enough to train with his teammates, and that's from Matt Hughes, DM. And this is what I said, and I'll say it again. Get him out of the club in January. We are fucking wasting money. This guy has not played 90 minutes in 3 years. 3 years. It's a waste of fucking money. Rip up the contract and save the wages for the next 6 months. This guy is useless. He's not fit. If you can't get rid of him in January, if nobody wants to take him, just fucking boot him out, dude. Just boot him out. And use whatever you get from the wages. Use it to sign a loan. If we don't have money. I don't know. This guy is useless. He's fucking helpless. You know what I mean? We've ended up with one striker. And even if he was available, I don't think, he doesn't contribute anymore. He's not good enough. I just get him out, dude. Just get him out, dude. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. What a fucking waste of money, dude. We're paying $250,000 a week. This guy can't play 90 minutes of football, man. If Manchester United want to come, pay me $10,000 a week. I'll take 10 grand a week. And I'll provide more than fucking Martial has ever done in the past 3 years. I'll be fit every fucking week. I'll be there. I'll play, right now he's not giving us any minutes. I'll play 20 minutes a week. I'll play 20 minutes. I'm contributing more than Martial. You pay me 10 grand a week. Go ahead. Sign me up. I'm ready. Call me up. Hit me up in the DMs. United. I'm ready to sign, whatever. It's a fucking disgrace. But yeah, other than that, that's it. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you very much. When's our next match? Because I know we're not playing for like a couple weeks, so we're gonna be doing some updates until we play. And we are not playing till January 28th. On Sunday, we're playing in the FA Cup against I forgot who it was. Small team. So we have another like a week and a half without club football. I hate international breaks. I fucking hate them, man. So it's gonna be a struggle, but hopefully, I guess, it's also that would come close to the end of the January transfer window. So hopefully we get some sort of updates to keep us going. Maybe we get a player in or two. So until then, we will be waiting for breaking news, and we will see you then. We will definitely be bringing you another one, like we always do. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. If you didn't in the beginning of the video, please smash the like button, share, and make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications so you know when we're coming with videos. We greatly appreciate it. Leave your comments down below. We want to hear from you for sure. Leave your opinions, thoughts, anything you got to say, anything you think, anything you feel. Go ahead. Don't be shy. And we'll see you next time. Thank you guys for tuning in. And have a good morning, good night, good evening from wherever you're watching. And we'll see you guys later. Thank you.